Sound on BBC Radio Scotland, with the 5th round draw to come in Sports Scene a little later, in the company of John Hughes, Leanne Crichton and Thomas Duncan.
Yeah, afternoon. It's a truly miserable afternoon weather-wise here at Celtic Park. The rain continues to swirl around the stadium, but certainly this is an occasion to warm us all up at this bleak time of year. A great story. Buckie Thistle of the Highland League, representing a small Murray town down here at the famous old stadium Celtic Park, to try and take on the cup holders, the Premiership champions and the current Scottish Premiership leaders as well. What a task it is, but in a sense, as Graham Stewart said this week, they've already won by getting here, beating Tayport, Forest Mechanics and Broxburn Athletic to set up the tie of all ties for Buckie Thistle. It's strictly business though for Celtic. Brendan Rodgers has a 100% record in this competition. He's looking to protect that. Goes with what is one of the strongest possible lineups he could have picked, bar resting Callum McGregor. And Celtic are unbeaten in 13 ties here at Celtic Park, stretching all the way back to 2014, when Aberdeen came here under Derek McInnes and won 2-1. In the intervening years, they've gone 13 unbeaten in Scottish Cup ties here at Celtic Park, scoring 53 goals and conceding just 2. A sensational record which only underlines the huge task facing Buckie Thistle here this afternoon, as the Celtic players wearing green and white hoops. Buckie with their little cheeky request to be allowed to wear the same for this afternoon. They're in their changed kit of all bright yellow with a blue trim, blue stripe down the sides. Celtic going to shoot from left to right as we sit here in the main stand. The referee is Chris Graham, just getting the players ready, and it's going to be Buckie Thistle to kick off. Just run through the teams. Celtic, Joe Hart in goal. Back four, Johnson, Nawrocki, Scales, Taylor, Bernardo, Holm, O'Reilly in midfield, Abada, Palma and Kyogo the forward line. As for Buckie, Stuart Knight in goals, Hamish Monroe, Darryl McCarty, Jack Murray, Joe McCabe and Dale Wood make up the back five, and Pugh, Barry and McKeever and McCaskill the midfield, and Josh Peters got a couple of goals in the last round. He's up front, and we are underway, and Buckie immediately tried to drive through the middle of Celtic, but it's the cup holders who have the ball. And moving forwards now with Taylor on the left hand side, gives it to Palma. He's on the touchline up towards the 18-yard box, comes in on the right foot, touching towards the box, and it's cleared out for a Celtic corner. And Brendan Rodgers' side on the front foot straight away. And the Buckie fans packing their way in, 2,500 or so away to our right. A few smoke bombs set off as the players emerged. And Celtic Park not quite full as Palma swings this corner into the near post. Josh Peters gets a head on it, and Pugh, the captain, clears the box. O'Reilly goes back. There's Bernardo, beg your pardon, wearing the black gloves, turns, gives it infield to Liam Scales, the centre back, middle of the pitch, checks back, nudges it to Holm. Then on now for Abada on the right wing, drops the shoulder, comes in, tries to squeeze the pass down the edge of the box, but it's blocked. Back now for Holm, and all the way back to Mike Nawrocki, the centre half, shaking off his injury worries that plagued his start to his Celtic career. The Polish defender passes it now to Alistair Johnson, who puts it down the right hand side to Abada. He's one-on-one, tries to drive into the box, he gets there, gives it to O'Reilly, fires it back out for Alistair Johnson. Right footed pass back to O'Reilly. Now Holm. O'Reilly thinks about the cross and then nudges it back to Nawrocki. Every Celtic player in the Buckie half. It's chipped into the box by Scales, run off the back. Abada's in there, it falls to him, and then he goes down, and the keeper Knight gathers. Abada still on the deck, and if he was claiming for a penalty there, didn't look too much in it, and it's going to be a stoppage as Leo Abada tries to get to his feet. 0-0.
Yeah, he certainly looks like he's taken a sore one. Difficult to see, Thomas, from the angle that we've got up in the gantry here, but there certainly was perhaps a bit of contact. Not sure it was enough to merit the penalty shout, but no doubt with VAR in play it'll be something that they'll look at if required.
Nothing like the romance of the Scottish Cup, and we've got VAR. As Leo mentioned, the only tie, and Stephen McLean is the VAR incidentally, and they are checking it right on cue for a potential penalty to Celtic, and the groan goes around Celtic Park. We'll see what the officials make of this in Baillieston, but Abada certainly went down. He felt something. I didn't see too much in it from here, I have to admit, but we've not seen replays.
No, it looked like there was maybe just a bit of contact, whether it was just around the shin. I'm looking at Abada and the way he's kind of looking to shake it off and keep on the move. You would need to see a replay, right enough, Thomas, I'm not too...
Yeah, word is reaching us that there might actually be an offside in the build-up anyway, so of course we'll go back to the attacking phase of play, they'll check all that, and that means we'll have the joy of a little delay to start things off. But Celtic certainly starting with a good tempo about their play anyway.
They started the game well, Thomas, but just to get back to this VAR situation, which I know a lot of fans don't like to hear it, in terms of...
He's going to the screen. He's going to the screen, Chris Graham. The referee is called over, and this, I mean, usually it only means one thing, and well, what a start that would be to Buckie Thistle's dream tie if they're going to concede a penalty in the opening 3 minutes. Chris Graham is down in front of the Celtic Park tunnel. He's going to have a look at this. He'll be seeing all the replays, and it just deflates the balloon.
They'll also be checking for the offside.
Yeah, well, it depends. They don't check an offside unless there's a subjective element to it.
Okay.
So they might check if he's interfering with, if there's an interference with play or whatever. If he's going to the monitor, unless it's a non-subjective element of offside, it'll just purely be a decision on whether this is a foul or not. So we can't see replays, we can't see what the referee's seeing right now, but he's looking, he's putting his hand to his right ear, then away again, Chris Graham.
Yeah, I'm seeing Brendan right on his dugout, but over his shoulder, having a right good look himself.
And there's laughter going on amongst the force official. John Kennedy's out there, the Celtic assistant. I mean, it's taking too long.
Taking too long, and that's my point, Thomas. The whole weekend we've enjoyed Scottish Cup ties. We're going to get a decision now.
The referee's trotting
Chris
out.
Graham.
And he's looking, puts the whistle to the lips, makes the signal, and it's offside. So there you go, John. There must have been an element of subjectivity in the offside call for the referee to have a look about whether anyone was interfering with play. But anyway, no penalty, and on we go, and Buckie Thistle breathe a massive sigh of relief, because that would have been a grim start for them.
Yeah, and the easy way out is the linesman put his flag up, called the offside, and on we go, and we could have saved all that.
Yeah. I think that is the frustration, and we had Bobby Madden in the studio, Thomas, a couple of weeks back when I was on Sports Sound, and he spoke about just the protocol in that type of moment, in that situation where Chris Graham would be called to the monitor. He then needs to discuss whether he thinks it's a penalty himself. That decision would be made, and then you would look at the offside. So it takes an awful lot of time. I mean, we're only a minute or so into this game, and we've had a longer stoppage than we have actual game time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's only just under 3 minutes on the clock when that review was called for. Here comes Celtic though. Alistair Johnston midway through the Buckie half, gives it to Abada, who comes in field, right footed past the home, who's under a little bit of pressure from Josh Peters, and the in-out pass to Johnston, hugging the right-hand touchline. Gives it infield to O'Reilly, who's dropped in, and he's going to chip it in with the left foot. It's in towards Bernardo, and McCarty comes across and does his defensive work and sticks it out for another Celtic corner. 0-0, 6 minutes played, although we've not actually been playing for 6 minutes.
No, we haven't. You can see Celtic's intent right away, mixing up the play as well with the ball from O'Reilly, just searching for those runners in behind, and that's something that Buckie Thistle need to be aware of. The pace, as we mentioned, John and I discussed it at the top of the show. Palma, Abada, Kyogo, they're quick, they're very, very lively.
Celtic corner, Palma with the right foot in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. I think Nawrocki got a head on it, and he's put it past the post, and he was in more room than Buckie would like in that situation, and that's a chance for Celtic.
Yeah, that brought many a team here, and what you do as a coach or as a manager, if you're going to get beat or lose a goal, you hope it's a right good football goal. Anyone in terms of set plays or restarts, they're avoidable. You know, you've got a job to do. Go and pick up your man and make sure he doesn't get a free header.
Yeah, you just look at the reaction of Graham Stewart as the corner came in there. It was a free header for Nawrocki, and he's both hands out. He's asking his players, why is there a free player inside the box? Because it's something that they will have discussed. You know, as John says, go and break us down, move the ball really well, but set pieces to concede is something that you don't want to offer Celtic the incentive.
Here's Abada, gives it down the right hand side to Johnston. Tackle comes in, breaks back to Johnston, little turn. He's not got much support out on this near side. Gives it back now to Nawrocki, across to Scales, bang in the middle of the Buckie half, centre of the pitch. Home gets it back, Scales then gives it forward to Taylor, who's infield, but gives it straight back to Scales. And Nawrocki, O'Reilly, left footed pass to Abada, flag up, offside. Well, Buckie Thistle as well have only played 3 times since they won in the last round of this competition at the end of November. They've had 5 games called off due to the horrific weather that they've been having in the northeast over the last couple of months. They did play last week against Huntly, getting a late 3-2 victory, but it's not been a smooth few months for them, and they don't actually train together twice a week either. They're split over 3 bases on a Monday night, Inverness, Buckie and Aberdeen, so they only train together once a week on a Wednesday night, and they couldn't do that this week with the snow. They were aiming to train on Friday, so it's far from ideal preparation, as well as them all having jobs of their own outside of football, part-timers. But they've managed to avoid a penalty against them in the opening few minutes here. Highland League sides went to review, and it was offside given as Abada went down, and Celtic with a header, Nawrocki header, and they come forward now. 8.5 minutes played, it's goalless in this 4th round tie. Here's Johnston along to Liam Scales, controls with the left foot, then passes with the left foot out to the far side, and he gives it down the line, chipped in to the 6-yard box, and it's blocked away, and there's a foul in the 6-yard area anyway against Celtic. Bernardo and O'Reilly are chucking themselves in there, and it's a free kick to Buckie Thistle in their own penalty area, and Stuart Knight will manage to clear things up. But
it's everything I expect. Celtic always been playing the game in the opposition's half, getting it wide, getting down the sides. Johnston, Taylor, the full-backs doubling up with the wingers and looking to get crosses in as much as they can. And there, when they're doing that, you have to defend their box, and fair to Buckie, they did that. You know, they win that header and it's coming in, and you're going to, because if you're not, then it's going to be a Celtic head, and before you know it, you'll be 1-0 down.
Here's Buckie Thistle with a rare touch of the ball. Hamish Monroe sends it up, and Scales controls at the back for Celtic, gives it to Nawrocki. Harmless enough. Celtic back from their 19-day break, and here's O'Reilly, gives it to Abada, deals for offside, flag stays down. Abada infield to Bernardo, tries a little touch away, but it's intercepted, and Buckie clear their lines again. And as we've expected, precious little of the ball for Buckie Thistle, but they've kept their shape. Their back 5 packing the middle of the pitch, and Celtic going down the sides a lot. And here is Nawrocki, gives it to Abada, and gives it in behind to Johnston. He's closely marshalled by Max Barry, who gets a little shoulder in and forces the Celtic player to put it straight out. So good defending.
Good defending, and exactly what Buckie Thistle will look to do where they can, where possible. Slow the game down, kill every minute that they possibly can. They'll be hoping that the ball attendants round outside of the pitch are not too lively as well, perhaps with the weather. Although they've given it straight back to Celtic. Commentator's curse.
Andy McCaskill receiving that throw in and tried to give it straight back, but he's put it straight out, and Johnston gets on with things for Celtic as they look to defend this trophy. They've won it more than any other side. 41 triumphs, the latest last season in Ange Postecoglou's final game before moving on to Spurs. Here's Home, gives it to Scales, who's going to line up a strike from distance, but that flew well off target from the Irishman, but I suppose worth a go against a deep defence.
Yeah, that might take a long shot just to break them down, you know, as you say, and they're compact. I think they're forced to be compact because Celtic got total domination. You know, the overloads in the wide areas, I'll give Buckie a real problem. But at times you're forced to sit in there and be compact, and if you've got that numbers in there, Celtic will find it very difficult to break them down.
Header won again by Scales, sent forwards for Buckie, but Nawrocki's got a bit of time to nod it to Alistair Johnston, and he's fizzed it along the Celtic Park turf looking for Abada, but it's good work from Dale Woods to mop up and gives it back to his goalkeeper, who goes long. Buckie just turning over the ball a bit too much. It's easier said than done to keep it, of course, as many teams find coming here to Celtic Park, and that's a good read on the other side by Joe McCabe, the right wing back, and he's over the halfway line. He's driving forward, and then he goes down, gets the free kick. That's fantastic play from the Buckie Thistle wing back.
Yeah, it's really good play, exactly what you want from him, to go and drive the space as well. No panic, but you've said that a minute or so ago, Thomas. It's so hard to find those options when you work tirelessly out of possession, then you win it back, and it's those constant turnovers. You just give it back to Celtic. But that's what Buckie Thistle need, just to play for a bit of territory, get themselves higher up the pitch. These types of situations, we've seen it yesterday in the Spartans Hearts game, how set pieces come into play, how important they can be.
Absolutely, and this is a chance to deliver from deep. Buckie Thistle, it's just in from the 18-yard line, just inside the half, and it's swung in by Sam Pugh, and there's a header there out to the edge of the box. Barry trying to control it, and then Celtic get a challenge in, but McCarty got ahead on that initially but miscued it. It was on the edge of the 18-yard line, and then it didn't fall for Barry to unleash the strike, but promising. And then there's a booking as Buckie with a cynical foul as Celtic look to break forwards, and that was a decent little chance there.
It was. I just wondered if he was offside though, just the initial contact, Thomas. But the risk for reward here is that when you gain territory higher up the pitch though, and you commit those bodies forward, the speed and the intensity that then Celtic go and counter-attack on, and it's exactly why Odin Holmes been pulled back and the foul was being awarded just to stop the play.
Here's a bad on the right hand side for Celtic. He's not got too much support. Johnson's there, he gives him it. Holmes come across, it goes back to Nawrocki. Brendan Rodgers standing edge of his technical area with his arms folded, watching on. Here's Holm, looks up, tries a little slide rule pass in behind as Abadad run off the shoulder, but it's blocked. Scales now, gives it to Palma, back. Celtic fairly narrow at the moment. Here's Scales, drags it back with the left foot, and Buckie get the good press on from McCaskill. Holm round the corner, Johnson lets it run across his body, and then he's going to slip it in behind for Abadad in the right hand corner of the box, passes it across, and then the shot comes in from Kyogo. They almost hit off him, and then he's limping Kyogo in the middle of the box, and it's unlike him not to tap that home, and then the flag goes up. And
it was great defending. I think it was Monroe, the big boy, when it got played across. They've worked it down the right hand side, and when it got played across, I thought Kyogo was in, but Monroe just seemed to get there on a slide tackle and get a toe on it, just seemed to put him off.
I looked at Kyogo 5 or so minutes ago, Thomas, and he actually looked like he had a slight limp about him, but just as I thought that in my own head, he then sprung into life and made a movement towards goal. But looking at him just now, he's had a couple of glances across to the Celtic dugout as well. I just wonder if he's felt something early on, and perhaps just getting into that sort of challenge, looking to try and win the ball, it's made it a little bit worse.
Yeah, Buckie go long and win the second ball. McCabe, Celtic clear. Buckie Thistle have the ball on the far side, try to get under control. It's bouncing about, and then it goes out for a Celtic throw on the far side. Yeah, well, Kyogo, we know he's been nursing this shoulder injury for some time, but that would be a blow, because obviously O is away with South Korea on Asia Cup duty. He's not really playing much for them, and I think a lot of Celtic fans would like to see them bring in another striker in this window, but obviously they've signed the winger Nicholas Kuhn, and now it's in behind for Palma, left hand side of the box. He's into the penalty area. Kyogo's looking, it's Kyogo, and he's put it past the post, and the flag is up in any case, so it wouldn't have counted anyway.
It was a lovely bit of play though, John, wasn't it?
Yeah,
down the left hand side.
I was watching Palmer's run. He's went from out to in and got played in. You know, really made that run across the line, try to keep him on side. A great ball in. You know, and if Celtic are going to open them up, that's where it's going to be. Down the sides, get down the sides. They've got that overload. Full backs are, bombing forward. Get it down the sides, and the two chances that Celtic have created have come from that kind of play. Left, down the left hand side, down the right hand side.
Yeah, and well, Kyogo doesn't usually miss from there. Obviously wouldn't have counted anyway, but it's
no, it would have been one that they would have looked at though, Thomas, because I do think it was a lot tighter than perhaps even the linesman has thought on this side. I looked at the reaction of Graham Stewart, the Buckie Thistle manager, and he had his arms up because his back line was completely dysfunctional in terms of two players being slightly deeper than the other three. So that hit the back of the net, I'm sure we would have had another VAR decision to stew over.
Yeah, Celtic get a free kick. Alistair Johnson pulled back by Max Barry as he tried to get in the ball, and Celtic will have a chance to deliver just almost in line with the right hand corner of the Buckie penalty area. O'Reilly's over it. Sorry, John, on you go.
If the referee's been consistent, that's a booking, just for the one that he booked the Buckie player earlier. It's the same one, a pullback. But it's good refereeing, because you don't want to bring the pressure on you. You know, they're here to play the game, enjoy themselves, and you have to show a little bit of compassion in terms of the teams and what they're up against.
Well, Highland lead Buckie Thistle have survived 17 minutes without conceding at Celtic Park, and it's the cup holders on the front foot. Scales drives forwards out to Palma on the left hand side. He's running couple of step overs, jigs into the box, he evades a couple of challenges, but he's got not much room to work with as to give it back to Scales along to Nawrocki midway through the Buckie half. Johnston's made a little run, but he gives it to O'Reilly, a defender, and gets it back from the midfielder out to Abada on the right hand side. Drives in field onto home, and then Nawrocki, a couple of touches onto Scales. Celtic all within 30 yards of the Buckie goal. Palma floats one in. Kyogo was running off the back of the Buckie defence, but it's cleared. And back with Palma on the left. Celtic just trying to keep that tempo up, keep recycling the ball, keep it moving. Here's Scales. Buckie really organised, compact, making it difficult. Graham Stewart's out, the manager of the Jags, giving instructions. Here's Scales. Knocks it to Nawrocki. And then a little real pass that was looking for Johnston, but again Buckie get a foot on it. Celtic win back in the turnover, and that's what they're so good at, Celtic, is when they do lose it, they pounce straight away. And they're on the front foot again. Here's Johnston, seeing a lot of the ball in the middle of the pitch, and here's O'Reilly onto Abada on the right wing, step over, and looks to drive to the byline, chips the cross in. Buckie get a foot on it, and then it's hacked up in the air. Peters is after it, tussling with Holm, couple of nice touches, and then he just can't quite keep it in front of his manager on the touchline, and it'll be a Celtic throw-in. And this is what Buckie will have to put up with, is just relentless pressure.
It's relentless, but look, John, you mentioned it earlier on, the 3-15 minutes. If you're the manager and in charge and you've brought a team to Celtic Park, you'd be quite pleased.
Yeah, you're sitting there, and the game was, listen, you're going to the game with the best in.
Yeah, here's Abada on the edge of the box. He tried to squeeze through a little gap, but it's won by Buckie. Now they're coming up the left-hand side through Jack Murray, and it's a good little run, but he ran out of room, and Celtic win it back, and it goes all the way back to Joe Hart, who's been mostly a spectator in the opening 19.5 minutes, but it's still 0-0.
Thomas, as I was saying, you come here with the best intentions, but it never works out like that. You feel, right, we'll stay behind it, we'll do this, we'll do that. In the game, you just end up sitting as deep as you can. It's because Celtic, and even when what we've seen here, even when you get it, try to make one or two passes, it's impossible, because they're on top of you, they press you, they want the ball back, they want to be always on the front foot, and that's what you have to go and do. That's playing against the best in Scottish football.
Yeah, absolutely, and better and much more experienced teams than Buckie Thistle have come here, sat in and still got a hiding. Aberdeen thumped 6-0 here earlier in the season, so it's credit to the Highland League side that they've got through 20 minutes without conceding a goal. But here comes Celtic through Taylor on the halfway line. Little touch inside, looking for an option, and gives it to Nawrocki. No Cameron Carter-Vickers for Celtic this afternoon, still recovering from that hamstring injury. Callum McGregor rested. Here's Scales out to the left-hand side, and Palma pass into the box, touch from Bernardo, tries to get the shot in, blocked by McCarty, behind for a corner. Again, good defending in their box from Buckie Thistle. Yeah,
really good from McCarty, reads the run really well from Bernardo. You can see the slick play from Celtic, and when they turn it on at times it is hard to match, but Buckie Thistle have killed the space in behind, so they've given themselves.
And here it is, a chance, and it's the flag's gone up. The flag's gone up. The ball's gone in the back of the net, but the flag went up quickly. Now, obviously, with VAR involved, some will be checked, but the linesman's flag on this near side went straight up before it was bundled into the back of the net.
What I've noticed, Thomas, is just as the Celtic, their style of play and and their setup is, usually what you get is you get your wingers wide and you get your fullbacks bombing a lot on the outside on the overlap. It's a wingers wide, but the two fullbacks in Taylor and Johnston, they're playing more inside, you know, and they're playing on that sort of underlap, you know, so when it comes wide they can play that wee ball round the corner for these guys just to get on with, and that's what happened there. You know, Taylor just playing inside them, getting slipped in and getting that cut back.
Yeah, we'll check this. Not sure I got the final touch as it was cut back there and into the Buckie Thistle net. The flag went up almost immediately from the near side linesman Graham Stewart. The Buckie manager's over chatting with the fourth official Gavin Duncan as we await the verdicts on whether Celtic have in fact taken the lead. Now the offside call stands, signals the referee Chris Graham. So a couple of early VAR checks in this opening quarter, but it is goalless, Leanne.
It is, and Buckie Thistle, they've lasted longer than a lot of Premiership sides have lasted at Celtic Park in recent seasons, so they've got to take incentive from that. So far the game plan is playing out, and we know Celtic, of course the pressure's on them. As time goes on, they'll get more frustrated looking for this opener. Here's
Abada into the box, checks back on the left foot, blocked. O'Reilly goes across, puts the sliding challenge in. Barry gets there first, breaks back for Celtic though. Here's O'Reilly. Thinks about the left foot across, he does whip it, looking for Palma, who's making a back post run, but again it's intercepted, breaks from McCaskill. Again, Buckie just can't quite retain it, and home gathers. Here's Scales along the turf with the left foot to Palma, heavy touch, and that allows McCabe to make the challenge, and again gets a sliding tackle in, but it's Nawrocki who has the ball into the middle of the pitch for home. He was crowded out, back to Nawrocki. Here's Scales to centre half partner once again, out to Johnston on the right hand side, corner of the box, very narrow Celtic at the moment. Here's Home, chips it to the left corner of the box. Palma controls on the thigh, tries to go past his man, but it's well defended, and then it's cleared down the pitch, and Josh Peters will run after this, but it's comfortable enough for Liam Scales, and he passes it back to Joe Hart. 23.5 minutes played. It's Celtic 0, Buckie Thistle 0 in this Scottish Cup tie.
Joe McCabe and Dale Wood are actually doing a really good job in the wing-back areas, Thomas, because what they're doing is they're forcing Abada and Palma back inside the pitch a lot of the time, and we know that the runs, a couple of the balls that Celtic have looked to play, as John mentioned, it's those inverted full-backs that are coming in the pitch, but more often than not they're forcing Celtic centrally, but it's really congested. There's not a lot of success in terms of looking to thread those passes through, which is now just forcing Celtic.
And here's Bernardo, played in behind by Riley. It's Paulo Bernardo who chips it into the back of the net, and Celtic to break the deadlock. Buckie's bubble has burst, and it's Paulo Bernardo who was just ghosted in behind, and it's a lovely little finish over the top, and it's 1-0 Celtic.
Yeah, it's actually a great play, a great ball through. I think it was O'Reilly that played it through. Bernardo on it, that midfield run, you know, he just took a touch on his left foot, opened up for him, goalkeeper come out, he's got the quality just to go and dink him. You know, absolute fantastic goal.
Yeah, and Buckie are caught, Thomas, because it's that midfield run as well. You go and create that overload where they're happy with the game in front of them. If it's Palma, if it's Kyogo, if it's Abada that's making those through runs, but at the point they've come short. We know the vision that Matt O'Reilly's got, the assists that he's had this season, the goals that he's contributed to is an absolute joke. The pass is lovely, but the finish from Bernardo is exceptional, just to have the composure, and he dinks it over Stuart Knight.
Yeah, third goal of the season for Paulo Bernardo. Come on to a game scoring against Dundee and Rangers before the break. And Matt O'Reilly, 11 assists for the season, and here he is. And Buckie had done so well to survive 24 minutes without conceding, but their resistance is broken in the first half, and now it's been behind for Kyogo, controls it on the thigh, facing away from goalies in the box. Kyogo tries to get the shot away, little backheel flick for Taylor. Buckie get the block in. It's McCabe again on the far side. Good defending. Taylor now with Palma on the left, corner of the box, comes in on the right foot, away from another one, unleashes the shot, and it's flashed over the bar, hits the stanchion behind, and Stuart Knight, the Buckie goalkeeper's out screaming at his defenders, and Celtic with a wind in their sails now that they've hit the front.
Yeah, and it'll be relentless, you know. I'm keep looking at that, they'll not sit him for one, you know. Kyogo looking dangerous over there, his movement is a defender's nightmare, you know. He comes short, he spins, he goes long, he comes short. He's got that double movement where if he doesn't get the first time, he goes again, and you have to keep your concentration. Just when you think that, okay, I know this guy's game, next thing in minutes in the back of the net, so concentration for 90 minutes and beyond.
Nawrocki comes across to intercept the long pass from Buckie, controls it on the chest, but it's eventually given away. Celtic get the counter press on, and there was no option for Dale Wood there as he tried to play out, and Johnson got the block in. The Highland League side get the throw in, and now it's about making sure they maintain concentration despite having that blow of conceding, because they've done so well in the opening 24 minutes. Buckie Thistle, Celtic playing at a good tempo. Here's Home, tries to jink away from his man, but he loses out, and here's Max Barry driving over the halfway line, and he's slipped in behind for Josh Peters. The flag's down for now. Left corner of the box, it's Peters, he's into the penalty area, tries to strike, it's blocked from Nawrocki, and then the flag goes up on the far side for offside, and it's that late flag we all love so much.
Yeah, it's one of the rules that I can understand why they're doing it, you know. It's in the rule book, but I'm sure I seen a game last week down in England where it went on and one of the players played on, he got injured, they went for it. It was a goalkeeper, Manchester City, when it played on, and then when they brought it back, it was offside. You know, it's one of these...
catch-22 at times, John, isn't it? Because there's moments that you know it's blatantly obvious, put the flag up, and there's other moments and decisions that we've seen that are a lot tighter when you go to VAR and you start drawing lines.
Yeah, here's Abada, right-hand side. A couple of little shimmies, give it to Johnston up in line with the edge of the Buckie penalty area. Here's O'Reilly, turns onto the left foot, gives it to Palma on the other side. Palma gets into the box again, though. It's a brilliant challenge from Joe McCabe. It is a corner to Celtic, but the right wing back is doing his best to keep Lewis Palma at bay on that far side. And Celtic leading by a goal to nil in this Scottish Cup 4th round tie against Highland League Buckie Thistle. It's going to be swung in from Palma, right foot, near post, headed away by McCaskill. Bernardo on the edge of the box, gives it back to Johnston, and that's a poor pass, and Monroe intercepts. Then his touch wasn't great, and it's a little bit scrappy as O'Reilly comes away with it. Gives it infield now from Johnston to Home, and now Liam Scales, who's asking for someone to come short to receive a pass. He's still got it, the Irishman. Gives it to Johnston. And now Celtic, having banished any nerves of having gone 1-0 up, and settle into a rhythm, try and add to their scoreline. Here Scales gives it to Palma on the left hand side. He's forced to go backwards though. Scales gives it now to Home, 21-year-old Norwegian, in for a rare start this afternoon at Celtic Park. O'Reilly, Johnston, not the best cross, too close to the goalkeeper, who smothers it. It's Celtic 1, Buckie Thistle 0.
That's that wee link-up play again. You know, Abada, Johnston, that wee give and go around the corner. You know, it's just a cross there. But as I say, you have to stick to your task if you're Buckie. You know, stick to your task, match your man, match your run. You know, keep your concentration levels. It's only 1-0. You know, and you keep it there as long as you can.
Long strike from the goalkeeper, Knight, and it's bouncing about, and Scales tried to nod it back to Joe Hart, but well, that was a bit dangerous. Hart luckily got there before Josh Peters from a Celtic point of view, but it just shows you a lapse in concentration. As I say, at 1-0, and it could be costly. Wasn't on that occasion, and now Celtic come forward again. Here's Johnson again. He's looking for the run of Abada, right hand side of the box, first time cross. There's Kyogo, and he puts it in the back of the net.
Offside.
The flag's up again. Abada penalised for offside. We know it'll be checked. And whether Kyogo has doubled Celtic's lead or not, my first instinct was it was offside.
Yeah, I would agree, Thomas. I'm pretty sure Abada's gone just a margin or two early. He's looking at the assistant referee, right enough. Yeah, I think it's going to be a clear-cut decision. Don't see this one taking too long.
You can see exactly what Celtic are trying to do. They're playing right on the shoulder and just trying to slide those balls in behind. They've done it so many times, that been caught offside a couple of times, but that's obviously where the goal came from as well.
Yeah, and it's the pace that the Celtic have got. They can play on the shoulder, they can hold until the very last second, and it's the variation in the types of runs. Previously it was Alistair Johnson that went beyond, this time it's Abada that goes beyond. The goals come from Bernardo, the late run from midfield. So it's so difficult for Buckie Thistle to really get a gauge for it and to totally adapt. You're already camped in the edge of your 18 virtually for the most part of this half.
Yeah, well, on we go. As suspected, that's confirmed as offside against Leo Abad in the build-up, so Kyogo's goal will not count. And it's over now though, as Celtic come forward. Left-hand side again, it's Palma again. He drops the shoulder and comes inside, gives it to O'Reilly on the edge of the box. He's crowded out. McCaskill gives it to Murray, and then the challenge had to be made, and you can just see Buckie Thistle a tad frustrated that they're not able to just get some control. And they are a side who, in their own league, play 4-3-3. They play it through the thirds and they have a lot of possession. It's a total change of mindset and game plan for them this afternoon. And here's Palma on the left again, and his pass isn't great for Home. It goes straight to Max Barry. It's a bit isolated, and the tackle goes in, and it's all the way back to Liam Scales in the centre circle.
Yeah, and it's those types of moments. It's so difficult for Max Barry to find an option. You don't want to just go and play the ball forward. He looks to try and drive and break the lines, but he's outnumbered 2 and 3 all the time. But Buckie Thistle are a good team, and you're right, in their own league this season already, 14 games, won 12. They've only lost 1, so they're a side that are used to having the ball, dominating games at a point. The run of form that they've been in is very good, but this afternoon is a really different task for them all together.
Here comes Celtic again. Nawrocki, the cup holders, leading by a goal to nil thanks to Paulo Bernardo's strike in the 25th minute. That's the difference between the sides at the moment. Here's Taylor, gives it to Palma, weaves his way on the edge of the box. Home gets it back. Last bit challenge, it breaks to Home, who sticks it in off the post. And Celtic are 2-0 in front. And Odin Home has his first Celtic goal. Intricate play on the edge of the box. He got a touch of fortune off a Buckie player, but he finishes it off the post and in, and it's Celtic 2, Buckie Thistle 0.
Yeah, he does really well, Thomas. It's a nicely worked goal. I think the combination play with himself and Matt O'Reilly, just that 1-2, intricate passing, just over 3 and 4 yards. Really difficult again to defend when you're already in that space and players are continually on the move, and he just composes himself with the right foot, just slots it beyond Stuart Knight.
Yeah, I was just looking at that, as you say, it's all the combination link-up play. I was just looking at the pass for O'Reilly when he slotted them in. I'm just wondering if the defender could do a little bit better, but it's actually took him out of the player. It's just set him up and just put a great finish in the back of the net.
I think it might be McCarty, maybe slipped as he was trying to slide and get it away, and it broke back for Home, and he did really well. A young Norwegian, as Brendan Rodgers said pre-match, he's having to adjust to the demands both in training and playing for Celtic. Not too many games. This is his 12th appearance, but most of them have been as a substitute, and he's taken advantage, done all he can so far. Celtic pin Buckie back and try and force a corner, and it's off the player for a Celtic throw, and it's just relentless at the moment. Celtic taking quick throw, and so quick that there's 2 balls on the pitch. And here's O'Reilly, gives it to Johnston, right hand side, feeds it infield to Abada, who's made a good run, left-footed shot, blocked by Pugh, headed half away. It's O'Reilly twisting and turning on the edge of the box, forces it to Home, little swivel, back to O'Reilly, infield to Bernardo, back to Home. Celtic just popping it about comfortably. Here's Johnston, comes in, gives it to Bernardo, tries the first time pass to O'Reilly, intercepted, and a good sliding challenge from Alistair Johnston as Buckie, through Max Barry, tried to break out of defence, nicked off him and out for a throw-in. And Celtic, as you would expect, just coming wave after wave of attack. Scales, Nawrocki pings it out to Johnston, onto Abada, turns away from goal, right hand side, back to Johnston. Celtic leading 2-0, floated in for Bernardo, lovely touch, facing away, pulls it back to O'Reilly, tries to lay it into the path of Johnston, blocked and then cleared, and Peters tries to, he's ploughing a lone furrow up there, but Nawrocki won it comfortably in front of him, and now here comes Celtic again, out to the left hand side, and Palma drops the shoulder, infield. O'Reilly shot round the corner first time, and it took a couple of nicks on its way through to the goalkeeper Stuart Knight, and there's a little bit of time for Buckie to take some respite as their manager tells them just to calm down on the touchline in front of us. 2-0 Celtic.
I think this is the only chance they're going to get to control the time. It is when Stuart Knight has the ball in his hands, and hope that the referee doesn't hurry him along too quickly, because it's been absolutely relentless pressure from Celtic, even when the ball goes out of play, coming back in rapid. They actually look really tired, Buckie Thistle, John. I don't know if you would agree. I know the conditions are probably making it more of a slog out there than it might be, but
definitely. And plus, if you bring the emotion side into it, you know, the nervous energy before the game and all that stuff, it soon certainly takes its toll.
Yeah, well, I mentioned they've played 3 games since the end of November, 5 called off. They are part-time players. They've struggled to even train given the conditions. They don't train together twice a week, only once a week. So
it's a huge ask, and when you look at the pitch as well, Thomas, I mean, it is still a good surface, but the amount of rainfall that we've had in Glasgow, certainly since late on last night, right through this afternoon, and it's continuing to pour down as we speak.
Yeah, it is absolutely teeming down as Joe Hart takes a little bit of a chance there under pressure from Josh Peters, who's barely had a sniff. He did have one shot, but the flag was up against him, and here comes Celtic again. Palma on the left, moves towards the corner of the box, give and go, gets it back, chips it in, controlled, but it goes through to the goalkeeper Stuart Knight, who gathers again, and the rain is swirling around the place as well. It's windy, it is tricky conditions, and well, Celtic obviously been on their coach winter break. When they come back, lo and behold, it's still winter, and it's still not great conditions for football. At the cup holders, the Premiership champions, done what I've asked of them so far. 8 minutes to go to the break, plus whatever's added, and there will be additional time added for a couple of VAR checks we've had. Celtic 2 goals to the goods, thanks to Bernardo and Home. Here is Home, midway through the Buckie half. Gives it back to Nawrocki. Into O'Reilly, takes it on the turn, gets it back from Home. Thinks about the little chip to Palma, then takes another couple of touches and rolls it along the deck. And Palma now moves it into the box, and O'Reilly had made the run, but good goalkeeping from Stuart Knight, quick off his line and got there first.
Yeah, he does really well, Stuart Knight, and we've seen a lot of that even yesterday, looking at that Spartans Hearts game. I think Blair Carswell, player of the match, and he closed the distance between himself and the back line really well. And as a goalkeeper coming into this type of game where you know your side's under so much pressure, you've got to be lively, you need to come off your line, you need to be quick just to take the pressure off them in certain moments. And so far, Stuart Knight's managed to do that on a couple of occasions as well.
Here come Buckie though. Peters on the edge of the box. He was combined with Barry, and then he tried almost to be too clever with a back heel, and then there's an offside flag up against Buckie Thistle, and you can see Josh Peters' head in his hands. He knows he maybe just needed more composure there, keep the ball. He was facing away from goal, but he had a bit of space.
That's exactly what he needed. He's been so rash in terms of the back heel, and I think in that area as a striker, John, just take the ball in, give your teammates a chance to come and support you, even draw a foul in and around the box.
Here's O'Reilly, right hand corner of the area. Celtic back to front quickly. Here's Nawrocki. Scales fizzed along the greasy surface to Palma, who goes by McCabe this time, gets the cross. McCabe recovers well to get a sliding challenge in. Celtic corner on the far side, 2-0 to Brendan Rodgers' side. Buckie lasted 25 minutes before going behind, and they've acquitted themselves well. But Celtic, well, it's wave after wave of attack. Corner kick now, and the referee is unhappy with something, Chris Graham, and it's going to be taken. Whipped into the near post. Scales is there, header off the bar. It bounces. Kyogo can't force it home, and I'm not sure if the goalkeeper got a touch on that. The goal kick is given, so he obviously didn't. Well, that's a good chance for Liam Scales, but his header crashes off the crossbar.
Yeah, it was a bit fantastic. It was a great cross in. Usually Celtic, they've been whipping them in near post. That one was a little bit longer. Gave Scales a chance to go and get his head on it, and he did. He was just stretching for it a little bit, just to get it on target. Done enough to get it on target, but unfortunately for him, come off the crossbar.
Yeah, he's had some season. Liam Scales establishing himself as first choice at Celtic.
Yeah, Thomas, I was just going to say that. He's really starting to cement his place in the team. He's never let his teammates down. Him down, it looks like he's found his spot. And once again,
and here's a ball in behind for Buckie. Flags down for the moment. Josh Peters touch up to the edge of the box. It's Josh Peters saved by the foot of Joe Hart, and the flag has stayed down, so that goes down as a big chance for Buckie Thistle.
Yeah, it's a brilliant bit of play from Buckie Thistle, and they're at it again.
Here's Jack Murray stepping out of defence, and then he's dispossessed by Home. Johnston. Well, that just shows you, from a Celtic point of view, switch off, and Buckie have quality.
Yeah, I'm just talking about Scales, and it's Scales they run away from, so, it just shows you need to keep your concentration.
And now here comes Celtic up the other end of Bada, back post for Kyogo, 3-0! Kyogo Furuhashi scores his almost customary goal in a customary position for the Japanese striker, right in the 6-yard box to receive the low cross from Leo Labada. And that just shows you Buckie Thistle, phenomenal opportunity up one end. They don't take it. Hart with a big save, Celtic up the other, and it's Celtic 3, Buckie Thistle 0.
It's what Leanne says earlier on in the show. As soon as you think you can go and have a wee go at Celtic, and you come out of that sort of shape it, you think that you're so secure and you can go and have a go. Celtic just turn it over, and before you know it, 3 passes later, it's in the back of your net. Absolutely fantastic goal, real speed to it. Rhythm, as Brendan was talking about, speed to it. A great passing the ball and a great goal.
It's a brilliant goal, but I actually think Stuart Knight, when he looks back at it, and I could see his frustration as it happened, he looked favourite. Yeah, they're checking this goal as well, but I think it's going to be fine.
Well, just as they told us and put it up on the screen that they were checking it, the communications come through from the referee quicker than that it's fine and that goal will stand. So Celtic now 3 goals to the good against Buckie, but if Josh Peters could have that chance back. It's a good save from Joe Hart. In fairness, he kept it low, it was going on target, but what a chance for the striker. and you won't get many. Here's Abada, right hand side of the box. Celtic coming forward again. It's another low cross. He's so good at getting those low balls into the box. Abada, now Johnston, back to Abada, lets it run across, and then it's hacked away by McCarty, and now Bernardo has it. Home, middle of the pitch. Taylor, now home again, scored the second goal. Back to O'Reilly on the right hand touchline, into Bernardo, and back to Johnston. O'Reilly driving towards the edge of the D, onto Palma, left corner of the box, drops his shoulder, drives for the byline, checks back as he almost pulled the trigger to cross, still going, gives it infield to Bernardo, back to Palma. Celtic just toying with Buckie Thistle at the moment as they try and find an opening. Here's Johnston, edge of the box, slips in infield, Taylor on the turn, blocked, then it's hacked clear, but it's hit off a Celtic player, breaks back into the penalty area, and Dale Wood puts his foot through it, and Buckie have some time to gather their breath as Celtic have it in the centre circle. Celtic 3, Buckie 0, 43 minutes on the clock, and it's now with Odin home, onto Johnston, infield now to home again, little drag back, knocks it to Nawrocki, in again to home, and Bernardo, first time to O'Reilly. O'Reilly slips it through for Abada, right hand side of the box, into the middle, 4-0.
Offside.
Bernardo taps in, flag up against Liel Abada, and we'll have another check for good measure. Again, Abada is just always ready to make that run on the right hand side, playing on the shoulder. Yeah,
really lively, Thomas, and it's a throwback to the days under Ange Postecoglou when you watch Abada, because it's that no-look delivery as well. As soon as he gets to the byline, he doesn't look to check if there's anybody there. He just expects somebody to be there inside the 6-yard box, and that's exactly where the goal, the third goal, certainly came from. Kyogo's down in the grass again. Not sure if it was an auto.
Yeah, well, this, as I say, will be a worry for Celtic, because they're always at the Asia Cup, and we know Kyogo's been nursing a shoulder injury all season, which Brendan Rodgers says he will have surgery on that at some point, probably in the summer, because there might be a lengthy period out, or he could nurse it, but it doesn't look like his shoulder that's giving him bother here, Kyogo
like
Furuhashi.
Perhaps an ankle.
And
yeah, you noticed that in the first half, Leanne, didn't
yeah,
you?
it was a couple of times, and he is their only recognised number 9, so you can understand why he started today, that he's leading the line and he is that focal point.
Yeah, no Daisen Maeda as well. He's at the Asia Cup, so he could potentially play through the middle if you needed him to. No O either. So Celtic, Kyogo's fine for now. He's playing on and he's moving okay, as we can see, but here's Abada on the right hand side. He's been razor sharp, and it'll be a big boost for the second half of the season to have him fitting back. There are always the rumours that he may be on his way, but certainly he's been sharp in this first half. Liel Abada, it's over on the other side though with Palma, and it's deflected back off the Celtic winger as he looked to go beyond, and it's out for a goal kick.
When you look at
Thistle.
Sorry, Thomas, when you look at the comparison between Abada and Palma, what you get continuously with Abada is an end product, and I think for Celtic fans this season, Palma's grown into the team, and he's certainly looked a much stronger addition to the squad as the season's gone on, but he's very unpredictable at times. With Abada, he rarely comes inside the pitch. He's a byline type player. He looks for those intricate movements, and he's burst of pace, and he's got an end product. It's across the 6 or it's cut back. It's constant. He produces constantly for those front players. I just don't see it on the other side, John. I don't know if you'd agree.
Yep, and I actually believe Michael Johnston's best position's on the left-hand side, cutting in there, can go both sides. I've seen him on the right. Michael Johnston doesn't seem to want to go past the player on the left-hand side. A whole different player. When he comes inside, he scores goals.
And here is Palma in line with the edge of the box on the left. He's passed the infield, and it's come back to home, but it's intercepted, well intercepted by Pugh, the Buckie captain, and he's given the pass off to Barry, puts the head down, driving forward. Alistair Johnson though just eases him off the ball, and that's what you're up against, the pace, the athleticism of full-time elite players, and just swatted him aside there. Johnson took the ball, and Barry's head dropped, and then there's another little ball in behind for O'Reilly, but it's allowed to run dead, and it'll be a goal kick to Buckie Thistle. We've played 47 minutes in this first half, and Celtic 3 goals to the goods. Buckie lasted 25 without conceding. I think 4 minutes of added time being played, so another 2 to go. Celtic 3 to the good.
They'll be desperate to get to half-time, Thomas. I tell you, there's been games I've played in like this.
Yeah.
You're up against it, backs to the wall. It doesn't matter how hard you work. You feel like the opposition has got an extra player somewhere on the pitch every single time. So looking at them, a couple of the players, Max Barry in particular, looks a deflated figure, very, very tired. Put an awful lot of energy into the first half not to get an awful lot out of it. So Graham Stewart gets players in at half-time, look to try and G them up a little bit, perhaps freshen the legs early on in the second half.
Here's Abada, yeah, on the right hand side, step over, gives it to O'Reilly on the edge of the box, drives in, and he's chipped the cross, blocked, comes back to O'Reilly. Good tackle though from Pugh, the captain, breaks from McCaskill, he's trying to hold off Johnston, he does really well, turns back towards his own goal, gives it to Pugh, puts the right foot through it, comes off a Celtic head, and it'll be a Buckie Thistle throw in just inside the Celtic half, round about the halfway line, and that's a good bit of fortune there and gets him up the pitch. But as we were saying, like Max Barry, Graham Stewart was talking up the fitness of his guys, and in the Highland League they will be amongst the very fittest teams for part-time players. That, not a question about that, but what they're up against is of a whole different order. And Barry in particular looked a wee bit head down as he's tried to drive his team up the pitch and lost out in the tackle. He keeps plugging away though as he tries to put Johnston under a bit of pressure here, and the Canadian just goes back to Joe Hart, who will take a couple of touches. And Celtic in cruise control, as they well should be, at Celtic Park against the Highland League side. Here's Nawrocki, centre circle, head down, right-footed pass along the deck to Abada. Infield now to home, back to Nawrocki. Celtic, that's the first game in the defence of their Scottish Cup crown. It's going to plan so far. That's miscontrolled by O'Reilly though. And there's the half-time whistle. Celtic in complete control, as you would expect, and as they would expect of themselves. The fans applaud both teams as they head down the tunnel. Buckie did so well in the opening 25 minutes. They were disciplined, they were organised, they kept Celtic at bay, but eventually the deadlock was broken when Matt O'Reilly slipped the ball in behind for Bernardo to run off the shoulder and chip over Stuart Knight to open the scoring. The second came 32 minutes home. Good work on the edge of the box, little combination play. It did get a little touch of a Buckie defender, broke back to him and he stuck it in off the post for 2-0. And then Abada teeing up Kyogo to tap in from inside the 6-yard box to make it 3-0 just before the break. So Buckie doing their level best to keep Celtic at bay as they come forward, wave after wave of attack, as we would all expect pre-match. Celtic, it's all going to plan in the defence of their Scottish Cup crown, and half-time it's Celtic 3, Buckie Thistle 0.
The Scottish Cup.
This is the chance they've been waiting for. Cross goal, it comes, must be it!
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland. The sound of winter in Glasgow is the sound of Celtic connections.
The Folk, Roots and World Music Festival transforms the city.
Musicians from around the globe and across the country come together to light up the dark nights.
BBC Radio Scotland is at the heart of it next week with the Key Sessions.
There's music and conversation on the Burnsday edition of the afternoon show.
Exclusive performances on travelling folk.
And a great night of dancing on Take the Floor.
BBC Radio Scotland at Celtic Connections. Starts Wednesday night at 8.
Please welcome to the Key Sessions, King Creosote.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
You are listening to Sports Sound here on BBC Radio Scotland. Liam McLeod with you this afternoon here at Celtic Park. The Scottish Cup holders heading through to round 5. 3-0 up against Highland League Buckie Thistle at the interval. 3 very decent goals, you would have to say, from Bernardo, Holm and Kyogo. The latter scoring his 11th club goal of the season. Remember the draw for the 5th round coming up on Sports Scene this evening with Amy Irons. That's at 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel. Highlights of this game and all the ties from Friday all the way through to the victory for Rangers at Dumbarton yesterday, after all the action in the 3 o'clock kickoffs as well. Some tight ties, some surprises. You can relive them all this evening with the highlights. And as I say, the headline from that programme this evening on Sports Scene is the draw for round 5. It kind of ties. We'll throw up, there was some terrific ones in round 4. A really good afternoon for Buckie Thistle as a football club coming to Celtic Park. The home of the team, the club that's won this competition more than anyone else, picked up their 41st Scottish Cup last season, as they look for 42 this time around. And Buckie holding out until the 24th, 25th minute of the game. And there have been some Premiership teams that have come here this season and taken Celtic on in their own stadium as well. I mean, look at St Mirren last time out, last a minute, 2 minutes. Celtic, in fact, 2-0 up in 6 minutes in Paisley in their last match before the break. They were 1-0 up against Hibernian in 5 minutes, 2-0 up against Aberdeen in 15, and 2-0 up on Hearts at Tynecastle inside the first quarter of that one. So Buckie Thistle managed to last longer than all those well-established top-flight clubs against the champions this season. John Hughes, Leanne Crichton, watching the first half there alongside Thomas. John, eventually Celtic making the breakthroughs. A couple of murmurs as you know, it didn't look as though things were coming as easily as the Celtic supporters were hoping. They've had the ball in the net another couple of times, you know, marginal offside decisions as well. A really good, efficient performance by Celtic in the end. Some really good goals as well. Yeah,
you have to say that. Really good goals. Of they've had to work hard for them, be patient. But you have to give Celtic credit. You know, they've gave their opponents the full respect that they deserve. They've been at it. The link-up play down the both sides, left and right, very, very good. And we knew where that eventually the goals would come from. Saying that, the first goal come right through the middle. And it was a great pass from O'Reilly to set it up. But all credit to Celtic, you know, in terms of they're relentless in the way they want to go about their business. Brendan alluded to that before the game in terms of the rhythm and the speed that they wanted to play, and they've done that. And then you look at Buckie, you say to yourself, well, you know, you're up against the best in Scotland. It's no any kind of embarrassment whatsoever. You know, as you say, they've done that to Premier League teams, and you're just hoping that, you know, they can keep the score down and they can keep their pride in place.
Leanne was highlighting the impact of Liel Abada. They've certainly missed him, that's for sure. I see their new wingers just being presented to the supporters down there. Nicholas Kuhn, the German who has come in from Austria. He was at Rapid Vienna, and the Celtic supporters are going to have to wait a little bit longer to see him in the kit out there on the pitch. But Abada, who plays in that wide position, has been outstanding, Leanne, in the game. He's just a constant threat, and I think you mentioned it was a little bit of a throwback to the Postecoglou days here when Abada was brought to the club, and he was a major part in how Postecoglou wanted Celtic to play. Yeah, he's been a real live wire, and I mentioned that end product. I think when you're at a team like Celtic, your job as a winger is to score and assist, and Abada does that in abundance. You know, the goals that he scored under Ange Postecoglou, the form that he's shown under Brendan Rodgers since coming back into the side, he looks like his old self today. And I know it's the opposition and what he's up against in terms of the levels, it's perhaps hard to get a gauge for, but for me, he's just such a threat. He's so difficult to defend against, and I just love the no-look pass in terms of the assist that he provides. It's the ball to him is perfect, and you just know the likes of Kyogo, Bernardo, O'Reilly, they're arriving late. You get Palmer coming in at the opposite side. He's looked very, very good this afternoon. So difficult to pin him down, it really is. And you look at the start of the game, John. I mean, there was a penalty appeal in the opening couple of minutes of the match. Yep. It went to the video assistant. Abada went down. It was ultimately ruled out. I mean, if that incident happens in any of the other 14 Scottish Cup ties taking place this weekend, it's not looked at again. It was here. Buckie survived it, much to the delight of the supporters over there, the 2,500 who have come down from Murray for the game today. That's probably given them their biggest cheer of the afternoon. They got off the hook very early on there because the roof could have really caved in had that been given and converted. Yeah, well, definitely. And as you say, that's where VAR's doing its job. But it was Abada again. It was getting in there, getting in that back post. It felt it got clipped. And just going back to Leanne says, it was last year. It was absolutely fantastic, Abada, when it was coming in from the left-hand side, Liam.
he was in that centre forward position, scoring goals sometimes beyond the centre forward. You know, so he's got all that kind of stuff in his game in terms of the full package, scoring goals, setting goals up. He holds his whip very, very well. And as you say, going back to that incident we were talking about, Huntley got a little bit lucky there. You need luck when you come here. You need your goalkeeper. Every time I've come to Celtic Park, you say to your goalkeeper, you need to be at your best. You expect your goalkeeper to be at his best, make saves and carry a little bit of luck also.
Josh Peters is going to be reliving that opportunity when he goes to his bed tonight. I would imagine. He's one-on-one with Joe Hart, played through and behind Liam Scales. He's got the goal gaping in front of him. Hart saves with his foot. Celtic go up the other end of the pitch and make it 3-0 within seconds. Sliding doors moments, and a big moment for Peters himself personally, that one.
Yeah, it was one of them.
That again.
It was one of them. Honestly, you can live off that. He goes through there, and as you see, we were just talking up the Scales, and he ran away from Scales, and he got in there. But once again, Joe Hart, you know, I've seen him do that so many times. That one-on-one situation when the striker's coming right down at him. I think Peters has done everything that he's wanted to do. He's put his side foot, try to get it down the side there. He's read it. It's a wee bit no coincidence that Joe Hart and Kasper Schmeichel at Man City together as kids. Peter Schmeichel, famous for that, coming out, making himself big, getting the legs out there.
You'd beat Kasper at Falkirk, didn't you?
Exactly, and as I say, Kasper, he'd done it, and Joe Hart again, you know, so it must have rubbed off somewhere, Joe Hart there. I've seen him do it so many times. Joe Hart comes out, makes himself big, gets his legs out, and, you know, makes a save. Peter goes in for the striker. Absolutely something that I would live with him for the rest of his life, but unfortunately it wasn't to be the case.
I actually thought, John, in other circumstances, Peters, he might have looked to take another touch, but I think the occasion and knowing that you've broke the trap in terms of getting in behind Scales, he sees Hart coming down, bearing down on him, and he thinks, I just need to get my shot off. I think in a different type of game with not the same level of pressure, you would have seen Josh Peters compose himself and look to try and side foot it beyond Joe Hart. But it is a sliding doors moment, as you say, then you get right up the other end and your team's 3-0 behind.
Yeah, Celtic 3-0 up and heading for round 5. A reminder that draw tonight on Sports Scene from 7:15. Plenty action to come on Sports Sound throughout the week as well, starting on Tuesday. Gets back to the league action and the first top flight match post winter break. Hearts hosting Dundee. As Dundee knocked out of the cup by Kilmarnock yesterday. Those 2 goals in the opening couple of minutes. John's old pal Marley Watkins on the score sheet, and that one as he was in the final of this tournament back in 2015. There's also action in the lower leagues here. United hosting Arbroath in the Championship, and you've got Stirling Albion Montrose in League One, and that rearranged 4th round Scottish Cup tie, Brora Rangers against Cove Rangers at Dudgeon on Tuesday evening. Then on Wednesday it's Hibernian Rangers from Easter Road, and Aberdeen go to St Johnstone. So full coverage of that on Sports Sound during the week. One thing that has struck me today, and I know that our chief sports writer Tom English has been talking about this, he likes throwing a wee grenade into social media, and I think he has done so. He was texting me earlier on as well. Is this not the type of game where Brendan Rodgers could have played some youngsters, you know, academy players? No, give them an opportunity. You don't think so?
No, he's got 1 or 2 on the bench. You have to earn the right. You're at Glasgow Celtic. It's not a given that you go and get that Celtic straight. And Brendan, you know, you have to put a marker. There's standards at a football club, and as you say, once again, I think Brendan doing and picking the team that he's doing, he's give the opposition full respect, and that's good. You know, no matter who you're playing, he'll be wanting to get back to Brendan, as he says, to go back to his interview, play with the speed that they've played with the last 4 games before the winter break, and they've done that. Now maybe we might see 1 or 2 subs coming on as the game wears out.
I think you'll definitely see subs, but I actually think the way Brendan Rodgers has utilised his squad today is that he's used the majority of players that don't actually feature for him, John, on the bench. So what you've got there is Scott Bain, of course, is there as a number 2. Lager Bielka rarely features. David Turnbull, with all the speculation around his future, he's out of contract in the summer. Bernabe doesn't feature. Rocco Vata, yes, he's been promoted.
He could
Daniel
be away.
Kelly been promoted. Yep. Ralston in and out of the team, never really a consistent one. Stephen Welsh, very similar. Unfortunate injuries. And Mikey Johnson, players there that you could see not being at Celtic come the end of the transfer window. So I actually think he's protected the whole group of players that he's got, other than the ones that have started the game, which is a strong 11 in terms of giving respect to the competition and looking to get a quick start and deal with this game. But I think Brendan Rodgers is more thinking about clearing the books at Celtic and getting these players some game time and, as I say, out the door.
What's Graham Stewart, the Buckie Thistle manager, thinking just now? You were talking about the 8-0 when you were Falkirk manager, I think it was, earlier on the programme. He's in a hiding to nothing now, isn't he? His players look knackered, and you can understand that lack of game time. They're part-time. I think they've only managed 1 2-hour training session in the last week together. The pitch is heavy. They look tired already, as I say. How does he deal with this second half now? The players just coming back out.
Well, it'll be damage limitation, that's for sure. You want to hoping that the score keep the score down as best that you can, and that's easy saying and done, you know, because as we've said, Celtic's relentless. That's what the demands are when you play for Glasgow Celtic. But even in defeat, no matter what happens with them, even in defeat, that's sometimes the best part of learning. You see how far away they are, what needs done in terms of all the levels. How Celtic pass the ball, rotate the ball, and everyone in football, I laugh at this. Everyone in Scotland think controlling the ball and passing it is easy. It's very, very difficult. The way you pass it, how you pass it, the angle of your pass, the pace of your pass, and that's what Celtic's absolutely fantastic. The way they pass the ball and the speed of the passing.
The Celtic players just making their way back out onto the pitch just now. The Buckie Thistle players have been out for a minute or two now. What will the final score end up being? I think Celtic's record victory in this competition, the Scottish Cup, is 8-0. The record overall is 11. They are 3-0 up against Buckie Thistle. The final 45 minutes of the Scottish Cup 4th round this weekend. I mentioned that Brora Cove game to come on Tuesday, which will complete the lineup for round 5, the draw this evening. Let's get back then to Leanne Crichton, John Hughes, and here in BBC Radio Scotland on Sports Sound, the second half. Thomas Duncan.
Thanks, Liam. Yeah, well, Buckie Thistle will be hoping that they're not etched in the record books as on the receiving end of Celtic's biggest scalps, I suppose. As you're mentioning, 11-0 against Dundee back at the end of the 1800s. One of them 10-0 against Hamilton in the League Cup in 1968, and then an 8-0 win as well in the Scottish Cup. That's the records, and Buckie Thistle will be very much looking to avoid that as Celtic get us underway in the second half. 3-0 up, and it will also be interesting to see as this half wears on what Brendan Rodgers does in terms of rotating his squads. Obviously they've got 5 on Asia Cup duty as well, so as Leanne was just touching on, a lot of the players on the bench are ones that don't see a lot of game time. There isn't actually a huge amount of scope to change it, probably with the depth that Brendan Rodgers want, obviously for this game, certainly, but moving forwards. And here's Palma coming in onto the right foot into the middle of the pitch, 25 yards out, and onto home, over to Johnson on the right hand side. His cross with the right foot is blocked by McCaskill. Celtic throw in on the far side, and yeah, it's could be a long 45 plus minutes for Buckie Thistle. Huge ask for them on this big pitch, and the Highland League is their focus, of course, looking to win that title for the first time since 2017. Here's a batter down the right, lost in the cross, but it's sailed behind for a goal kick. Yeah, they've been in the mix for the last 3 seasons, losing out on the final day to Brechin City last season, and they're 6 points off the pace at the moment, Buckie, but with 3 games in hand on Brechin. Those 2, there's others in between as well, Banks of D and the like, but that is their main focus and always was, always is this season. This tie is just an extra bonus, but they'll want to do themselves proud in the second half, despite trailing by 3-0 as the goal kick comes long over the head of Palma, bounces for Peters. Had that great chance before Kyogo made it 3-0 to Celtic, and it might not have changed the result in this game, but what a moment it would have been for him if he was able to score at Celtic Park. Got 2 in the last round against Broxburn Athletic, and it's a Buckie throw-in on this near side, and the referee saying they've stolen a few yards, so back we go. And here they move it all the way back to Stuart Knight, the goalkeeper, and puts the foot through it, and Scales goes after it, bounces, and then he puts it with the left foot back to Joe Hart. He's being closed down, and he gets it away to Nawrocki, and then plays it up to the edge of the own box, and Max Barry was straight on top of Liam Scales and got something on the ball, but it's head off him by Scales and behind for a goal kick. But that was a bit sluggish from Celtic. Dare I say complacent in the way they lazily stroked that about the back. Buckie were onto them. And here comes Celtic though down the right hand side. Here's Johnson, cross in, and Kyogo was lurking, but for an excellent challenge from Daryl McHardy at the front post, Kyogo would have had a tap in. Another one. Corner though. Celtic goes short, and it's not the best as Peters intercepts. It breaks back though for Bernardo on the far side. Celtic coming forward. Here's Palma, comes in from the touchline, flashes the right footed cross in, cleared by McCabe. And now here's Barry. He's got no room to work with over on the far touchline. He's done really well. He's done brilliantly, Max Barry, to weave away from two players out of a tight spot, and then he just has no support and he runs into trouble and gives it away. But that was a little bit special, the initial play there from the Buckie midfielder. And here comes Celtic now again. Sabada slips it to Johnson on the right hand side of the box. Low cross, cut out at the front stick by Sam Pugh, the Buckie captain. Celtic just playing those passes down the side.
Yeah, it's the same as, I know we've just started the second half, but it's the same as, that great combination play, link-up play down the sides, that run for the full-back, and the inside getting slipped in. And if it's not that, it's the other way, just the link-up play to get crosses in.
Yeah, corner. Lewis Palma unhappy with the ball positioning in the quadrant, so he's readjusted, puts the arm up, he's ready to chip it in this time. It's high to the back post, it's over everyone, and O'Reilly's going to go after it. He's on the left touchline, strokes it back to Bernardo. Got the scoring underway in the first half for Celtic. Johnston, right-footed pass over to Palma, past one, lines up the shot with the left foot, and he's found the bottom corner. A wonderful strike from Luis Palma, and Celtic are 4 goals to the good at Celtic Park. And Luis Palma, love heart signal to the crowd. He enjoyed that one, and how he might. Good finish. Celtic 4, Buckie 0.
Yeah, he's in the opposite side of the pitch, where you wouldn't really expect him to be, but he does really well. Forced inside, as I mentioned earlier on in the first half, Buckie Thistle looked to do that, but he just dances inside. He just sees the yard of space that he's given, and he catches it really well with the left foot, and it just nestles right in the corner of Stuart Knight's goal. It's another sucker punch for Buckie Thistle really early on in the second half. But Celtic in cruise control, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't really expect anything else. We can talk up the potential of a shock, and Buckie Thistle of course would have dared to dream, but now they've given it away. Palma slips it into Abada puts it by the post, should have scored. Leo Abada, Celtic getting the pressure on, Buckie caught in possession. Abada was in the box, free shot at goal, puts it wide.
That's a bit his game, isn't it, though? He needs to tidy up. I'm mentioning at half time about goals and assists. The assist bit he ticks in abundance, Abada. The goals we know under Ange Postecoglou, he scored a number of them. John, you described it, those ones that he comes in off the opposite side, but those types of moments, those types of opportunities, he cannot pass up, because in other occasions it could come back to haunt him.
Yeah, you need to be ruthless in everything that you do on the pitch, and when you get a chance like that, you make sure you're putting that ball in the back of the net. I'm just looking down here, I'm seeing Buckie might be looking to make a few substitutes.
Yeah, absolutely. 4-0 down, try and get some guys as much experience of playing at Celtic Park at this level as they can, perhaps. And Celtic get a free kick. Liam Scales, but Celtic haven't lost to anyone other than Rangers in this competition, going as far back as when a certain John Hughes led Buckie Thistle to a semi-final win at Hampden on their way to lifting the trophy. Whatever happened to him? Here comes Celtic home. Out to the right where Abada controls with his right foot. It'll roll over, and the Scottish Cup holders are fizzing this about with confidence, with skill. Home over to the left hand side, and Palma, little loose touch, allows the challenge from McCabe, but Celtic just turn it over so quickly. Here's Home, out to Johnston, then to Abada, right hand side of the box. Good tackle though, as Barry comes away with it again, and he's trying to ensure his side can play out from the byline, and He claimed for a throw in there, nudged it out. Celtic take it quickly. There's just absolutely no respite. Celtic not hanging about, despite leading by 4-0 in this Scottish Cup 4th round tie. Bernardo back to Johnston, round to O'Reilly, and uncharacteristically poor touch from O'Reilly. It was coming at him at pace, but hit off him in behind for a goal kick. Celtic 4, Buckie Thistle 0.
You would certainly expect Celtic in the next 5-10 minutes or so to ring the changes, really freshen the side up. I mentioned it earlier on. I think Brendan Rodgers, in terms of treating this game, you treat it as an extension of the winter break, look to get minutes in players' legs, but even the likes of Kyogo, you know, whether you could see a Mikey Johnson perhaps coming on and Morgan through the middle, John, I don't know if that's something that you think he would, in terms of a natural position for him, but I don't think you need to risk Kyogo anything beyond 60 minutes this afternoon when you've only got that one recognised number 9. It's one that's crying out as a change.
That's what we've got to mention that at half time. If he is going to make changes at half time, it would be Kyogo, just by picking up the knocks and what he brings to the team for the rest of the season. So we'll see what happens as the game moves on.
Yeah, no Nicholas Kuhn, the new signing, German winger from Rapid Vienna. I think he's had some work on his teeth, some sort of operation, Brendan Rodgers said. I don't know whether that's a visit to Turkey or not, but he's recovering his strength, so he's not available, but he should be available to make his debut if required against Ross County next week.
He would be in good company in Scottish football, Thomas, if that was the case.
I can go and get the free done to get the hair done.
Come on, let's name some names after this. From Abada into the box, left-footed finish, goal, and the flag goes up on the far side. Leo Abada thought he had his goal. That was a better left-footed finish, low past the goalkeeper, but the flag goes up. We will have a check, of course, to see whether Celtic have indeed made it 5-0.
Yeah, just his luck. We're talking about those goals looking to be ruthless. It's a nice finish with the left foot, but certainly we'll need to wait and see. Yeah, it might be tight. A tight call, certainly. It didn't jump out to me, I would need to say, when he went through on goal. Didn't look glaringly obvious that he was offside. Certainly one for Chris Graham and his VAR team, Stephen McLean, to have a look at.
Yeah, it tells you everything about how Celtic have played, the amount of offside checks we've had. Obviously Kyogo had one in the back of the net ruled out. They're just playing right on the shoulder. His balls are behind, causing all sorts of havoc with Abada and Palma. And yeah, that one well finished from Abada this time, but they're being checked as the rain comes down, as it has incessantly all afternoon here in Glasgow's East End. And in fairness, the fans have turned out. Not a full house, but
it's on the screen offside, isn't it? We're not.
Yeah, I don't like to trust this screen, John. I'm not going to lie, but it says it's checking. So, but that came up about 5 minutes after we knew they were checking, and the referee signals that it is indeed offside. So Abada's goal won't count, and it remains 4-0 to Celtic in this Scottish Cup 4th round tie. Live on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland. The draw to come on Sports Scene later, 7:15. And now it's played over for Buckie, and Peters tussling with Taylor in the box. He goes down and it's hacked away, and he's given a half little look at the referee. Nothing given, and it'll be a throw into Buckie Thistle next to the corner flag. But good industrious play at the top end from Josh Peters. He went down.
I think you might find a penalty checks happening just now, Thomas, as well, between Peters and Scales.
There's something being checked.
Yeah, possible penalty.
Possible penalty. Well, what a moment this could be for Buckie Thistle.
Yeah, it could be. If I'm being honest, I don't think there was too much in it. I thought that Scales and Peters were both at it. Peters looks to go the right hand side of Scales, and he looked to go the left. I do think Scales maybe has a grip of him at some point, but without a replay, it's difficult to definitively say when you've just seen it in real time.
And the referee's getting communication. If it's his hand to his ear, he's not going to go to the screen by the look of it. He's ready to blow the whistle. On we go. McKeever with the throw into the feet of McCaskill for Buckie. Not the best touch, but he just keeps it in, and then he loses out to Bernardo, who hacks it downfield. Kyogo jogs after it. Hamish Monroe gets there. First time pass, it's up into the Celtic box. They allow it to bounce. Johnson's going after it. McCarty's still up there, and then it hits off the defender and behind for a Celtic goal kick. A little bit of a nervous moment there. Celtic allowing the ball to bounce in their own box. But on we go. Scottish Cup holders 4-0 up, and their clean sheet intact. A slight penalty scare there, but VAR check, no penalty. And Buckie, tackle from Hamish Monroe on O'Reilly. and then it breaks for Bernardo, who prods it to Johnston. And Celtic, this should be so difficult to play against, is when they do lose the ball, they're instantly on it, straight away, swarming the yellow jerseys. Here's Home, out to the far side of Bernardo. Johnston takes a touch, right hand corner of the box. The rain still pouring down Celtic Park. Scales, left foot along the surface to Nawrocki. A couple of touches forwards into the edge of the box. Lots of jerseys in the Buckie penalty area. The Celtic try and find a little gap. Here's Bernardo, lovely little couple of touches to keep that under control. Here's Home onto Greg Taylor. Now Nawrocki, middle of the pitch. Every Celtic player forward, bar the goalkeeper Hart, deep into Buckie territory. And they must be tired, the Buckie Thistle players, as Celtic just keep the ball. And that's miscontrolled though from Greg Taylor. McKeever gets in there, nudges it back to his goalkeeper Knight, who manages to clear his lines up to the halfway line. And Scales goes in with a header, wins it ahead of McCabe, and then Palma gets it away to Taylor, then gets it back. He's on the left hand side, he's not got much room, but he just turns, faces back the way and curls it to Nawrocki, who moves it on quickly to O'Reilly, middle of the pitch, out wide to Abada. And he's fed it into Kyogo, little back heel towards the edge of the box. There was no one in green and white hoops to step onto it, and now Barry, a former Aberdeen youth player for Buckie Thistle, picks up, loses out. Now here comes Abada, deflected as he tried to slip it in behind. It's into the box, little back heel from Palma, and Bernardo was going to step on and hit that. Great last ditch challenge as Buckie survive, and then it's thumped down the pitch out for a throw in. Buckie just trying to survive at this moment in time, conceding another goal. Here's Home out onto the right hand side in Johnston. Celtic probing, trying to cleave an opening. And it's Greg Taylor back to Nawrocki. He's going to drive forwards into Johnston first time to the right hand touchline. O'Reilly, then back to Johnston, infield to Home. Buckie just being shuffled back and forth across, trying to keep their line, watching for runners. As Palma tried to receive it, it's gone beyond him, and Buckie are able to get across Joe McCabe and clear it out towards the halfway line. But it's really testing times for Buckie Thistle at the moment.
Yeah, it's testing times, and I can guarantee you that every time they look at the clock inside this stadium, they will think that time is standing still. Because when you don't have the ball for as long as this, and you're defending and you're concentrating, and the turnovers, and you get a touch on it and you lose it and you give it back, it is absolutely relentless. And there'll be a few players now glancing at the dugout. They've enjoyed their day. They've came here and they've been in the Celtic Park pitch, and it's all about the occasion. Of course it is. They've gave everything that they've got, but they will be looking at the dugout now and saying, Gaffer, just take me off, freshen things up. And it's fine to say that, because we've spoken about the levels between the sides, Thomas, in terms of part time. We've spoken about the contact time and training time. Those Buckie Thistle players will be out on their feet very, very shortly.
Yeah, well, this is a Celtic side who beat Feyenoord here, drew with Atletico Madrid. Obviously took a heavy defeat away in Madrid, but have been playing top teams this season. Haven't always had their own way in the Premiership right enough, but they've been thoroughly professional so far. As Johnston goes down on the far side and gets a free kick, Barry with a little nudge. Graham Stewart just trudges back towards his dugout, frustrated. Long-serving Buckie manager, player as well for the club. Before that, here's Palma. Celtic go quickly, left corner of the box, he threads it, looking for Taylor, but he's asking an awful lot of the Celtic left back. And it'll be interesting to see if we do see minutes for the likes of Rocco Vata and Daniel Kelly, the youngsters on the Celtic bench. Here's Palma, left hand side into Bernardo, across, and it's slipped into Kyogo, takes on a turn wonderfully, left foot across the box onto the back post, but it's sliding challenge from Dale Wood at the back stick as Matt O'Reilly steamed in and puts it behind for a corner. Good defending.
Yeah, it's a bad, they're just sneaking in at the back post, isn't it, where we spoke about him, where he normally finds himself. Should have been desperate to get a goal.
Short corner from Celtic. They've done that a couple of times in this game so far. We've played 17 minutes in the second period. Celtic 4-0 up against Buckie. Here's O'Reilly trying to chop on into the box, and then shot comes in. And it was an ambitious one, straight to Stuart Knight at his near post. And well, for Buckie Thistle at this point, it's just, can they get a moment, can they score a goal? But then as they try and play out, the captain Pugh is caught under pressure from Bernardo, out for a throw into Buckie, and we are going to get some changes. And Rocco Vata is going to come on, as is Mikey Johnston, and Buckie are going to make a change as well. Marcus Goodall, and what a moment for this young man. He's going to come on because he 21 years old and he's a massive Celtic fan, and he's going to replace Andy McCaskill. Huge moment for the young midfielder. And Vata and Johnson are going to come on for Celtic. Kyogo, as the guys have mentioned, he looks like he's maybe been carrying a knock, so he's going to be withdrawn. Scored the third goal this afternoon at Celtic Park before the break. And Leo Labada is the other to be rested. He hasn't managed to find the net. Well, he did, but it was chalked off for offside, but he's been excellent. And Rocco Vata, and he is an interesting case because he's been highly rated for a long time. 4 appearances off the bench last season. Son of Rudy Vata, of course, the former Celtic player, now turned agent. And his deal is up in the summer. Talks about him maybe going to Bologna or something with Lewis Ferguson is obviously plying his trade. But then stories this week that Celtic are maybe in talks to extend his deal, so he'll want to see if he can get minutes because he wants to play football, that's for sure. And he's on to try and impress in the final 35 minutes or so here at Celtic Park, as Palma makes the tackle out for a Celtic throw on the halfway line. Here's Bernardo back to Scales, on to Nawrocki. Remember the draw live on Sports Scene tonight from 7:15, as well as the highlights from this game and all of Saturday's eventful ties. Premiership sides going out, Premiership sides struggling but going through as well. Not many teams have cruised through from the top flight. Celtic, of course, are at the moment. Rangers were fairly comfortable against Dumbarton, but Hibs made it really work. Hearts as well. St Johnstone going out, Ross County going out to Partick Thistle. A couple of the clubs maybe rusty after the break. Here, Celtic again just knocking it about on the edge of the Buckie penalty area, but the Murray sides managed to get it away. But again, when they do win it, their clearance is coming off a Celtic player. They're under such pressure. And now here's Home. Gives it into Bernardo, edge of the box, out to the right hand side. Cross comes in from Johnston, and Pugh puts it round the corner, and it's cleared. And Josh Peters will hear after this. He's up against Scales, who gets his body in front of the ball and then comfortably strokes it to Mike Nawrocki, and Celtic will survive that particular. But I don't know, John, Josh Peters has done fairly well. He'd like to have taken that chance before the break, but he's run the channels well. Yeah,
and he's prepared to get back behind the ball. You know, he's up there on his own, and as you say, that chance, you know, a fantastic chance. If he'd put that in the back of the net, then it deserves it.
And here's a chance for Mikey Johnson. Checks in on the left foot and gives it to O'Reilly on the edge of the box, outside of the boot, past it Johnson, just a couple of yards infield to Home. And then Greg Taylor wide now to Palma on the left hand side of the box, drives to the byline, left foot across into the 6-yard box, and it's up and over the crossbar by McCarty, the Buckie defender. Celtic corner, 21 played in the second half, 4-0 Celtic. And again, they just go quickly, every set piece, corners short, throw-ins quick. Here's Palma into the near post. Taylor took it on the turn, but touch wasn't great, and Buckie hack out for a throw-in. Here Bernardo looking to go quickly, but Taylor says leave it for me, pal. Throws it to Bernardo, and it's backed by Palma and Scales, and the rain is just sheets and sheets of it pouring down. Really difficult conditions for the players. The pitch doesn't look in great nick, a lot of mud, heavy. Here's Nawrocki. You're listening to Sport Sounds, BBC Radio Scotland, Scottish Cup 4th round action. Celtic 4-0 up against Buckie Thistle. Here's Mikey Johnson down the right hand side. Tackle goes in from Woods. Another Celtic corner. Celtic have tended to go short with the set pieces. They did have that one Scales effort off the bar, but
I suppose to a point it makes sense, Thomas, when you look at the conditions. Just seen a message that had popped up in the screen as well about rail services been suspended from Glasgow from 7 o'clock, so I would imagine this place will start to empty pretty quickly. The old saying, keep the high balls low.
Corner comes in, it's high, back post header. Well,
it's Vata.
Vata, yeah, lurking at the back post, and that was a chance for a first Celtic goal. I always wasn't expecting it to come through so many bodies and didn't get enough on it.
Yeah, I think he should have done better, actually. You know, I know he's seen it late, but he done enough to create that little bit of space. You know, got his head on it, got plenty on it. Just needs to get a little bit more, get it on the target.
Yeah, that's the big screen in the tannoy just announcing the suspension of those rail services. So a few nervous looks around in front of us, and on we go as McKeever heads it forward for Buckie. It's on to Scales, and he gives it to Nawrocki. Celtic on course to continue their imperious home record in Scottish Cup ties, heading for 14 wins in a row, with 57 goals scored and 2 conceded. That's how it stands, and Mikey Johnson drives down the right hand side, gets a low cross in, and it's cut out by Jack Murray at the near post for yet another Celtic corner.
Yeah, it's good defending from Jack Murray. The play from Mikey Johnson is good, just the drop of the shoulder, shifts it to the right hand side, and again looks to zip it across the 6, but Jack Murray's matched him on that occasion. Just another corner to defend. Celtic go short.
Yeah, they do indeed, and Johnson, a little step over, drives to the byline, looks for the near post cross, and it's deflected onto the roof of the net. Well, Mikey Johnson's really enjoying himself down that far side, and that type of player, I'm sure if you're Dale Wood on that side, so we're going to the last player you want to see come off the bench when you've been at it.
Yeah, he might be one of the ones that's glancing into the dugout saying just take me off.
Corner comes in near post this time, it's allowed to bounce, and fortunately for Buckie it just spins all the way through, and Bernardo goes after it. There's another player who's starting to make that midfield berth his own. It was a bit of a hot potato who played alongside McGregor and O'Reilly for most of the season, but Bernardo, bit of game time, bit of confidence, a few goals, particularly in that Old Firm win here before the break, and he's looks a confident player as Palma chips into the box. Vata flicks it on, headed away, Barry gets something on it, but it only goes as far as Palma. It's bobbling around in midfield. Scales is going to go across, gets there ahead of Peters, left foot down to Bernardo on the touchline, into Home, into Palma. Little drilled pass, wasn't the best, it was behind Johnson, but he gathers, nudges it to Alistair Johnston, and back to Mikey Johnston, right hand corner of the box. Again he looks to go on the outside and go around the byline, doesn't take the ball with him this time, and then he shields it out for a throw in. I think there's going to be another couple of substitutions. Daniel Kelly is going to come on for his debut for Celtic down in front of us, taking a swig of his water bottle, and Anthony Ralston is also stripped and ready. Ball still in play though. Celtic come in, Mikey Johnston, edge of the box, O'Reilly in pass, across goal is blocked and hacked away. Buckie just doing a decent enough job of defending their penalty area, just about maintaining enough concentration as Celtic look to add to their 4 goals. We've played 71 minutes at Celtic Park. Scales into the feet of Vata, and then he gives away the foul, and he goes in the book. And the youngster, Mikey Johnson, a player Brendan Rodgers kind of called out earlier in the season as well, as needing more from him, as he got those goals against Dundee. As the substitutions are made, double sub for both teams. Ralston is going to replace Alistair Johnston, and Daniel Kelly is going to replace Paulo. That's Odin Home that's going to go off. It's Bernardo's coming across for some instructions. Josh Peters is going to make way for Buckie, and Cohen Ramsey is going to come on, as is Lyle Keir, the youngster, 20 years old. Lyle Keir, fantastic moment for these two to come on at Celtic Park. The 4th officials getting the numbers on the board. Maybe this change won't be made as the numbers eventually go up on the board. And Josh Peters, as we were touching on, he's had a good shift. He had that golden chance before Kyogo made it 3-0 through 1-on-1, and Stu Hart made the save with his left leg, and he has a shake of the head. He hugs his manager. He knows he could add a goal, frustrated, and Dale Wood is going to come off as well, I think, on the far side, and he's put in some shift, having to deal with a bad up for most of the game, and now Mikey Johnston, so he's got a well-deserved place on the bench for the last 20 minutes or so. And Knight goes long, the goalkeeper, with a Buckie free kick, helped back towards the Celtic back line by Barry. Ralston with the first touch onto Nawrocki, back to Hart, short pass in his own box to Scales, left foot over now to Ralston, another player who like to make an impression. His 11th appearance in the season, did sign a new deal to 2027 recently. Very much the backup right back for Celtic. Here's Nawrocki, no backup left back really. Bernabe on the bench today, not really getting a look, and Greg Taylor now with Callum McGregor rested, the only Celtic player to play every single game this season. And he's still on the pitch, here he is. Well, he was about to get the ball before Hamish Monroe stepped in and took it off his toes. Breaks for Palma though, he's on the left hand side next to the byline. Flag up for offsides. But we're at that stage of the game where Celtic 4 to the good, Buckie Thistle tiring, and Celtic kind of maybe a wee bit of tempo just gone out the game.
Yeah, I think when you ring the changes, that naturally happens anyway. You're looking for the players that come on, and the likes of Mikey Johnson and Rocco Vata to settle in quickly and get up to speed with the game and how it looks. But I think the Buckie Thistle players would happily, as I say, go up the road just now. Celtic players probably feel the same as well, because it's job done. They've been professional, they've gone about their business in the right manner. They could have added a few more goals certainly to the goal tally, and they might still do between now and the 90 minutes certainly.
Here's Lyle Keir, he's managed to scamper himself onto it, and he's tried to force the pass away. It's come off a Celtic player. It'll be a Buckie throw midway through, just over midway through the Celtic half, so that's good play from the young substitute. And McKeever has a throw in down in front of us in the main stand at Celtic Park. Rain still coming down. Throw in, Keir receives, and well, it's gone out for a throw into Celtic. Taylor gives it to Scales, who lets it run across himself. Brendan Rodgers, of course, when he left Celtic for Leicester City, was unbeaten in domestic cup competitions. That came to an end in August in the last 16 of the League Cup against Kilmarnock. 24 games unbeaten. Kelly did a job on them, and that will, I'm sure, make them extra motivated to win this trophy for the 6th time in 8 seasons. Rangers and St Johnstone, the only ones to break that dominance in recent seasons. And here, ball down the right hand side to Mikey Johnson. He's driving towards the penalty area, really fast feet, gets past one, gets to the byline, and it's in. It's turned in, and I think it's Rocco Vata.
It's Vata, yeah.
Who's got the final touch, scores his first Celtic goal. It was all about Mikey Johnson though, down the right hand side. Fantastic footwork, squeezes across in, and young Rocco Vata taps home from just a few yards out to make it Celtic 5, Buckie Thistle 0.
Yeah, it's great play. As I say, once it went out with Mikey Johnston, you say go in there, and he stood the full back up, took him on, he went one way, went down the other one. Had the skill to keep a had it, just picked his head up and picked out Vata in the middle of the box. There you go, tapping.
Yeah, it's good play from Mikey Johnson, as you say. John stands up the full-back, but it's the way he stops, he starts, but the ball keeps moving and his body keeps moving, so it's so hard to gauge as a defender when he's going to make his next move. Again, Knight might look at it and think he should do better just as it comes back across the face of goal, but at this stage of the game I don't think you can really fault the goalkeeper. I would rather credit the attacking team.
Yeah, well, Vata joins home in getting his first goal for the Celtic first team. Here's Scales, and it's been a thoroughly professional job from Celtic, as you would expect. It was a strong team they picked. They've been at it from the get-go. A couple of scares, we mentioned that Peters chance. There was a Peters penalty check that wasn't awarded, and a few hairy moments of distribution in their own box, but more or less it's been extremely comfortable as Palma wins a free kick right on the edge of the box on the left hand side, as the cup holders look to add to their tally in the final 13 minutes or so. Buckie, well, they've fought bravely. They've done everything you could probably reasonably expect of them, apart from really take the one chance that was offered up to them, but very much on the back foot, and it's going to be Palma to whip this in with the right foot, right on the edge of the box, and he goes for goal, and Knight has to tip it over the crossbar. Good goalkeeping.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, it was right above the goalkeeper. You know, I'm just wondering, you know, it had the skill just to get it, whip it, get it up and get it down. Any other side, it might have went in the back of the net, that one.
Yeah, well, sorry, Leon.
No, I was just going to say, I think the goalkeeper's done himself a bit of damage just as he pulled off that save. He's just stretching his calf off now. Asking Chris Graham, the referee, just to give him 10 to 15 seconds to try and recover. It was a good save though. I was surprised there was only 2 players in the wall though, John. It showed Palmer that opposite side of the goal, gave him a decent target to go and hit.
He was the hero, or one of the heroes of the last round, with his assist in added time and extra time against Broxburn, the goalkeeper, and then saved in the shootout as well. Good stop that. And Celtic go short again. Cross comes in this time. Header from Nawrocki. It's bobbling about in the box. Buckie can't clear. Pugh tries it to get it away, and the flag up on the far sides. Offsides. Celtic back on league business next week. They've got Ross County here, and they go to Pittodrie to play Aberdeen, then Easter Road to play Abernia, and then they'll have a Scottish Cup 5th round tie on the weekend of the 10th of February, and then they've got Kilmarnock at home. So some tricky fixtures coming up on paper, as Celtic are going to make a change, and Stephen Welsh is going to replace Mike Nawrocki. Unfortunately, Josh Peters' cousin has already made way, so they'll not be on the pitch at the same time. But it's good to see Stephen Welsh back. He obviously started that Old Firm game and then had to go off with a shoulder injury in the first half, having been out most of the season with an ankle injury. So good to see him fit and back on the pitch for the final 10 minutes or so of this match here at Celtic Park. Celtic 5-0 in front against Buckie Thistle of the Highland League, in total control, and they'll be in the hat for the 5th round. And you can watch the draw on Sports Scene later, 7:15 BBC Scotland iPlayer as well as the highlights from all the ties. Just that one to come that was postponed between Brora Rangers and Cove Rangers. I think that's a Tuesday night game, that one. As Buckie take the free kick, fire it towards the back corner of the Celtic box. McCarty's in there, he controls it just in the box. He's facing away from goal and then can't bring it under his spell. And then there is an offside call, which we've had quite a few of in this game.
You would need to say though that the assistant referees in David McGeechy and Stephen Traynor have been spot on for the most part.
Here's Vata through, flag stays down, he's round the goalkeeper who makes a save, really good, and then the shot comes in and it's blocked.
The flag goes up for offside.
Honestly, how many times have we said that this afternoon?
Certainly these ones won't be checked because it's not ended in anything.
It did look a mile offside.
I thought Vata looked offside when it got played over the top initially.
But the ones that have led to goals, certainly the refereeing team have been spot on this afternoon.
They have indeed, yeah. And the Buckie Thistle bench, 2 subs being readied by manager Graham Stewart. Lewis McKinnon is one of them. He's the assistant manager, been at the club for 17 years, 38 years old. So he's obviously not actually the only game he's played this season. He came off the bench while he was actually injured against Broxburn. Heroic effort. Looks like he's going to come on.
They're just holding it up, and now the goalkeeper's shouting onto the goalkeeper. He's gave him thumbs up. Goalkeeper, Knight is okay.
Long ball from Buckie, drops for Sam Pugh, the captain, who puts it into the Glasgow sky. Greg Taylor's under it, doesn't get a header on it, but he will at the second attempt. Controlled by O'Reilly, flicks it over the head, but Buckie get a head on it, drops for Barry. Then Lyle Keir, cross fired in, but there's not a single yellow shirt in the penalty area, and it just flies through, and it's going to go out for a throw in on the far side. Cohen Ramsey, the substitute, couldn't keep it in. Decent little attack for Buckie Thistle, who trail Celtic by 5-0. It will be no fairy tale, no cup shock. Scales, who knows all about that, having been on the receiving end of a loss at Darvel in the colours of Aberdeen a year ago. No such troubles for Celtic this season in his 27th consecutive start for Celtic. Here come the cup holders, looking to make it 6-0. Down the right hand side, here's Mikey Johnson. He's just got such fast feet, throws a couple of step overs in, looking for that end product that saw him set up the 5th goal for Vata, comes into the near post and wasn't quite taken down, and Buckie half clear. Here's Scales, head down up towards the edge of the box, can't slip it through for Palma, and then McCarty comes across and hooks it away down the park. But Leanne, what will Graham Stewart have taken from this game?
I think he'll be pleased. The work rate certainly that his players have put into it. Of course, they've rode their luck at many occasions with regards to the chances that have been marginal in offside decisions. But we heard them speak before the game about the scoreline and what you would potentially hope it could be and how difficult it would be for his players. Now, if they get out of here with remaining 5, potentially 6, I don't think there's any shame in that. And we spoke about the fitness of his players, the fact that they've been very limited in game time. We spoke about, alongside Liam earlier on, the position they find themselves in the Highland League. They're in a really strong position. So I think for his players, there'll be so many positives to take, in the sense that his players have had a brilliant experience coming here today. Their friends and their family will be absolutely buzzing. He'll have seen a different side to players that have been deployed in different types of positions. We've spoken about the formation change, that they're normally that 4-3-3. They've been asked to play a back 5, which I know you should be adaptable as a player, but it's not always a given that you adapt that well. And I think across the board, he'll be more than satisfied with the effort that his players have given him. So
Lewis McKinnon, the assistant manager, is going to come on for Buckie Thistle, and Jack McKeever is going to make way. Gets a hug from his manager. Good shift. He looks disappointed. And Ryan Fife, the centre back, is going to come on as well. McKinnon is also a centre back, going to that back 3. And it's Hamish Monroe, another experienced defender, who's puffing his cheeks heavily as he comes off. The 37-year-old's some shift.
I'm just looking at McKinnon. Fantastic. Been there, how long did you say up there?
17 years.
17 years, and this is probably the highlight of his career. Getting that 10 minutes against Celtic at Parkhead. Well done. Absolutely delighted for him.
Yeah, he's slotted into the middle of that back line at the moment. Nice clean yellow jersey. Not many of them out there with the boggy conditions. Here comes Johnson, tries to find Vata, breaks for Greg Taylor. Here's Palma, left-hand side of the box, drops his shoulder. He's going to take the strike with the right foot, bends it by the far post. Stuart Knight, the goalkeeper, watched that comfortably bend away from him. It's 5-0 Celtic.
Yeah, I was right behind that. We were right behind that.
You were nearly in the net, weren't you?
I was halfway up. I just felt we had a little bit more whipping it had on it. If we did, it might have found that bottom corner.
Yeah, well, Buckie Thistle, as we're saying, they've done themselves justice so far. You look at the last 13 ties here at Celtic Park. Dundee United beaten 4-0, Morton 3-0, Inverness 6-0, St Mirren 4-1, Brechin 5-0, Partick Thistle getting a 3-2, Morton 3-0, Airdrie 3-0, St Johnstone 5-0, Falkirk 3-0, Raith 4-0, Morton 5-0, St Mirren 5-1. So a lot of teams come here and get hammered, and that's just the size of it. Aberdeen came here earlier in the Premiership, got beat 6-0. So they've done themselves proud as Celtic come forward again. Here's Palma, left-hand side of the box, tries to take on 2 men, gets the byline and turns back, passes along the turf to Greg Taylor. Scales passing behind Bernardo, couldn't control it, and it goes behind for a goal kick. Just thinking about Greg Taylor here. Callum McGregor's got a rest. He'd played every game this season, but Greg Taylor's still on the pitch, and I think that perhaps is a rather damning indictment of Alexander Bernabé.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, Thomas, when I was looking at the substitutions that have been used, and even, I know it's a different position, but the likes of David Turnbull as well, that finds himself rooted to the bench this afternoon. I think Greg Taylor is one of these players that, like a Callum McGregor, he'll play every minute. If you want him to play every minute, he'll never ask to come off, unless it's an injury, of course, but he's true to his job. He's got a good engine on him.
Here's Vata in behind. He's got Knight to beat. Angles tight, and the goalkeeper makes a brilliant save at his near post. Corner Celtic.
Wrong choice. You needed to cut that. I don't know who it was in the middle.
Celtic relentless, short with a corner. It's floated to the back post where Bernardo controls it. Gives it backwards. Here's O'Reilly. Shifts it onto the left foot. Straight at the goalkeeper. Rebound. Saved again. Brilliant double stop. And it's now with the edge of the area. And Vata and Jack Murray, the Buckie centre back, just comes away with it.
It was young Kelly, wasn't it? It got in on the shot when the goalkeeper parried it. It was young Kelly that got on there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the goalkeeper spilled the first one. He probably should have held it, but he did well to recover and make the second save. We're into the final 3 minutes of the 90 here. Celtic 5-0 up against Buckie Thistle of the Highland League in the Scottish Cup. And now they come again. It's a tackle in on Kelly, and Celtic again just win it back straight away, and it's fizzed into the edge of the box. Buckie sticking at it, get the challenge in and win the free kick, and a few breathers. Just watching the players, every time there's a break in play, just watch the cheeks go in and out, in and out. It's some shift for them, it really is.
It is, and I've just seen a smile in the face of Graham Stewart, so you can clearly tell that he's not too disheartened with this afternoon and how it's played out. He's just giving his players an indication just to calm down, slow the time again, manage the game.
Yep, and he'll be back at work tomorrow, I'm sure. He's an operations director for a tools company in the oil and gas field, the Buckie manager, so back to the day job quite literally on Monday morning, before obviously trying to get Buckie a Highland League crown as well while he's at it.
I'm sure they'll enjoy the trip back home.
Well, there might be
weather aside.
There might be a few swallies, yeah.
I think he'll allow his players that, and I'm sure anybody that is in full-time employment tomorrow, their bosses won't mind either.
Right.
Considering the circumstances.
Get the annual leave requests in here as it breaks for, almost falls for Celtic's Buckie getting trouble trying to play it from the back, and it's going behind, fortunately enough, for a goal kick. But it was just it was great to hear some of the voices as well beforehand. I mean, Stephen Shand, the general manager, almost speechless, and that's what the Scottish Cup is all about. Unless you're Celtic, it's all about business, it's all about winning, and they're on course to win comfortably here as the stadium starts to empty all around us, and the rain is miraculously easing off. Might even have stopped. Some coming off the roof of the stadium in the darkness.
Just announced that Matt O'Reilly was the man of the match, and he has been. He's been absolutely, his touch and his passing, it's been very, very good, and he's really grown into a real top-class Celtic player.
Yeah, obviously enjoying working under Brendan Rodgers. Obviously been linked with Inter Milan and others. Premier League Girona, the latest surprise La Liga title contenders, but Brendan Rodgers says he's happy at Celtic. He's enjoying his football. Double figures for goals already, bettered his tally from last season. 11 assists as well now. Fantastic season he is having, and here he is on the ball, moves it onto his left foot, passes it to Greg Taylor, on to Liam Scales, little touch. Here's Welsh, I beg your pardon, and 1 minute added signals Gavin Duncan, the fourth official. So we're into the final minute here at Celtic Park. Celtic 5 goals up and looking to add a 6th. Welsh chips into the box, one bouncing into the arms of the goalkeeper. And Buckie Thistle, not long now to go before they get their break.
No, there's not, and I just wonder if the referee team have shown a bit of empathy as well for the game and the way it's played out, because I cannot tell you the last time I've been at a game where VAR's been in play and we've seen 10 substitutions and there's been a minute added on additional time.
Yeah, and not to mention,
I think they're looking for a sharp finish and a sharp exit.
Must be on the train.
Possibly.
Well, it just shows you they always go on about protocol, but when it, there's an example of common sense prevailing, you would have thought. And the Buckie fans still singing and applauding their team. Away to our right, and there is the full-time whistle. Well, it wasn't the great Scottish Cup upset that Buckie Thistle would have dreamed of. Well beaten in the end. They've done themselves proud, the Highland League sides. They defended for their lives, they gave it everything. Players out on their feet, and what has been a fantastic occasion for them. For Celtic, this was strictly about business, strictly about getting the defence of their Scottish Cup trophy underway, and it was thoroughly professional from Brendan Rodgers' side. He maintains his 100% record as a manager of Celtic in the Scottish Cup, and it was 3-0 at half-time. Goals from Bernardo, Holm and Kyogo had them cruising. The Celtic manager rung the changes in the second half, as did Graham Stewart of Buckie Thistle, to make sure as many of his players as possible got the experience of playing here at one of the great stadiums in European football, and it wasn't to be for them, as Luis Palma fired in a fourth, and then Rocco Vata the young substitute, got his first Celtic goal as well. A tap in from Mikey Johnston's cross. But some nice moments as the players exchanged handshakes. I'm sure there'll be more than a few requests for shirts. About 10 Buckie players said in the build-up they wanted Callum McGregor's shirt. Well, he's got his feet up probably at home right now, so they'll not be getting his shirt. But there'll be a few memories, a few words spoken, and a few souvenirs for the Buckie Thistle players to take home. You can see McCarty now talking to Brendan Rodgers, Celtic manager. A great day for Buckie Thistle as they troop off to their fans who give them a loud cheer, round of applause, wave their flags. There's a lot of waves going around, a really nice moment for them. For Celtic, they march on, as everyone expected they would, as they look to win the Scottish Cup for the 6th time in 8 seasons. Job done for them. It's finished here at Celtic Park. Celtic 5, Buckie Thistle 0.
The Scottish